And let's get this transition going. Ooh, you can see the game now. So that's good. Still figuring out all this like technical stuff for streaming because never done it before. But let's get this game audio popping. It's probably gonna be a little quiet just in case people want to hear me blather over the top of it, but yeah, here's Lost Kingdoms 2. It's pretty interesting / weird game, so let's get it all set up. And I'll move my cursor out of the way. But yeah, so this game's made by FromSoftware, which most people know as like developers of like all the great like Dark Souls, Demon Souls series, and some other RPGs. I think maybe I need to turn the game audio down a little smidge. But I'm just kind of guessing these audio settings in the dark here, and we'll see how far we get into the stream before technical issues take it out, I'm sure. But let's get started. So, start a new game. I used to play this all the time, but I literally do not remember like anything of the plot. I probably remember the gameplay sort of okay-ish, just because of the fact that I just beat Lost Kingdoms 1 last week, so I don't remember there being too many differences, except for just other things, but obviously we're following a plot about Anna and Elsa preparing for their journey. They're touching and holding hands, which is great in this age of pandemic. I really want to like make or get one of these things, the rune stones. Yes, Queen, hit them with those Yugi-Oh cards. Yeah. For many generations, the land of Argyll has prospered under the enlightened rule of its queens. Mighty armies, ferocious demons, and even ancient gods all bowed before the queens of Argyll and their enchanted runestone. But the lust for power is not easily quenched. Many coveted the queen's runestones and the power it brought. Eventually, a way was discovered to mass-produce runestones. These new runestones were not as powerful as the real runestone, but they did give their users power over lesser monsters. The new runestones quickly became popular among the elite. Those lucky enough to acquire the expensive stones quickly gained reputations as fearsome warriors. One runestone master was Terra Grimface. Abandoned by her family when still a mere child, she trusted no one. She loved only one thing, her runestone. This is the tale of Terra Grimface in the battle for Argyll. Before she took her place alongside Queen Katya in the pantheon of Argyllian legends, she was merely Terra Grimface, thief, warrior, and member of the Band of the Scorpion. And now we're here. So, to kind of like give an explanation of like what people are about to see in this game is it's basically like Yu-Gi-Oh meets like action RPG. You have a deck of cards, and each card allows you to either summon or use the effect of a monster. And there's just different varieties of it. There is voice acting in this game, but mostly only in cutscenes. And you can use cards outside of battle in this game, which you couldn't do in the first one, to pretty much affect the environment, destroy destructible things. Most importantly, there's treasure chests that give you cards, and sometimes red fairies, which are also collectibles. And most importantly is just collecting everything. Blue fairies just kind of roam around the map, and they give you different effects, like they'll either heal you or restore some of your mana stone points, or MP basically, which you use to summon and use cards. Let's get into our first fight here in a bit after we talk to some more people. And basically they're all like, Terra, you need to beat up the monsters for us. We can't really do much. Yeah, let's do the tutorial. Okay, so we have cards. You can use the buttons on the GameCube controller to use the cards. So let's go use some cards. So you can see monsters wiggling around the map and stuff. You can see their health bars, and you can see their elements, which are fire and water. There is kind of like elemental affinities that interact with each other. So obviously like water beats fire, fire beats wood, wood beats earth, earth beats water. There's also two other elements that don't really interact with the others. They basically have no weaknesses but no unique strengths either. But that's enough blathering, let's beat things up. So, certain cards like the one I just used are weapon cards, which just enable you to directly use an attack, and then other ones are like independent or helper cards, which kind of just do their own thing and fight in battle, and sometimes their AI is very helpful, and other times, no. Not at all. So, we'll see if Hobgoblin here figures out how to hit an enemy, and if not, then I'll hit it. So, helper and independent cards have like a lifespan, which you can see like a flame slowly burning through the cards. In order to stop it, I'll just discard the card by holding down R and pressing that button. Kind of gets him off the battlefield so he doesn't use up his whole life wiggling around in place. Right here we have like our first kind of boss-ish enemy. Also important to note is you have iframes as long as you're like using a card or like throwing it out. You don't always have iframes during weapon cards though, so that's something to kind of keep in mind / be afraid of, balance out. But unfortunately this dude is fire, so my man trap cards are wood and they would not do very well against him. But might as well throw him out anyways. I have to get in here and get beat up a bit. But we done did it. That's level 1. Woo. Yeah, applause. First level.
Finally, there you are. Another successful operation for the Band of the Scorpion, thanks to you.
Love this voice acting.
Hey, what did I say? Confound that girl. She won't even accept thanks. But no problem, as long as she keeps doing her job.
And so at the end of the levels, you kind of get like your score tallied. As you can see, monsters defeated, damage suffered, cards used are like the main determining factors, and you get a certain rating out of 3 stars. It was out of 5 stars in the last game, but it was kind of confusing. But at the end of every level, depending on how many stars you get, that's how many cards you can select out of the end, like total. So I got 2 stars and select 2 cards, and then we just hope and pray that they're decent. So got Beaker and Dark Raven. And then we have like the world map in quotations, kind of, that shows like a certain number of levels, and we can like move further and further away as the game goes on. But I'm gonna go ahead and add those new cards to my deck. So, add them. And you can have up to 30 cards in a deck, but I don't even have that many to start the game off with, so this is a matter of time to like actually like fill it up. In the first game you could fill up to 30 cards like super fast by capturing other enemy cards, but in this game you have to buy capture cards to do so, so it's a little different mechanically. Let's check out our stats, because this is kind of like the confusing part, sort of, kind of. So you can see like HP, like MP, like defense, stuff like that on the left. Those are pretty explanatory. On the far right we have our like status resistances, so we have like poison, petrification, instant death, stuff like that. And those kind of upgrade as we level up and get more experience from defeating cards and collecting magic stones. But most importantly is in the middle we got that attributes column with like the fire, water, earth, wood, we have neutral, and then metal basically at the bottom of it. So those are the card types, right? And the amount of stars we have in that kind of determines like what cards we can use most effectively. So each card has like a certain rating of like stars to it, which goes like from like 1 to like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 stars I think at max. And to get more stars in each attribute you just have to use more of that like elements cards essentially. But cards that have higher stars than what we have leveled up or gotten attributes for just cost double the mana. But higher level cards already cost a lot of mana, so it's very easy to like run out of mana. But if you do that, then cards just use your experience, or not experience, but your health, so you can kill yourself by using too many cards when you have no mana. That's enough explanation. But from here on out, it's mostly just gameplay and doing the game, so cool. Oh, here's where we get some of the character drama. We've been with the Band of the Scorpion for like most of our lives, basically, but the band's still just kind of like, ooh, she's got a runestone, she thinks she's better than us, or thinks that we're worse than her, yada yada. And here's Victor, who's like the lead of the Band of the Scorpions, I guess. But most of the bandits don't have runestones, so they can't really help us in battle, so we're kind of our like main like fighting force for the Scorpions. This is just more tutorial telling about the different types of cards, so weapon cards, attack, independent cards, attack independent of you, helper cards have passive effects, summon cards are like a one-time use kind of thing, but they usually have really great damage output. And then discarding, hold R, press a button, it discards that button's card. The thrilling events of just watching your cards kind of poorly fight on your behalf. That's great. Also, the music in this game is kind of like repetitive melodies over and over, but some of them kind of are bops. So, in the first game, most of the music was just like ambient tracks, and it was kind of I don't know, can't really jam along to any of them effectively. Also, one other card type that hasn't been talked about yet is transformation cards. We don't have any of them yet, but we'll get around to that. Also, the water sound effects, they might be quiet for you, but they're like, like louder than the level music. Let's check the mini-map and see where we're at. Sure, I believe in you. And for our first stream here, I'll probably just do like the first couple levels and then probably take a break and reevaluate my life's decisions and figure out how to do this better in the future. But for now, just chilling and playing the game. Oh, something I forgot to really discuss earlier is when you use a card fully up, like if an independent card like dies in battle or its lifespan runs out, basically that card gets discarded from your deck, not like permanently, but for the rest of the duration of the level. They could be restored by using certain summon cards or by touching blue fairies. That will restore like one card. Oh, cool. I just saw your message in chat. Yeah, this is totally my first stream. Yeah, this is a game that I used to play like a whole lot when I was younger. It's pretty fun. Oh, is my mic levels pretty low? Let me see if I can adjust it for you here. Since it's my first stream and all, it's like, I still haven't gotten all the tech sorted out, so if you have any like feedback on audio levels, just let me know. Let's sort this out here. Hopefully this is a little bit better. I adjusted the gain a little bit, but hopefully it doesn't get too like crackly or like weird. But yeah, just let me know. Oh, and then here we're probably going into our like first boss battle. So it's telling us Stormhagen, which is wood, so we should use fire against it. But oh, yeah, no worries. You don't have to like stay for the full duration of the stream and stuff, but I hope your like movie watch party and everything goes great, and thanks for just like dropping in. I really appreciate it. You're like my first viewer ever in this stream, so it's pretty cool. And we got enough experience to level up. And there we go. Sweet, 3 stars actually. So usually at the end of the levels, it has a chance of dropping like what was like the boss card basically as one of the bonus cards you can get. So usually there's like one boss card and then the rest are all like either intermediate enemies or like the weaker, more common enemies in the level. So it's just kind of like, I don't know, putting together like prayer and hoping you get the rare one. So we got the Porky Pig, which is like the weakest enemy in the level. We got the Man Trap, which is like intermediate, also kind of weak, like independent card in the level. And then we did actually manage to get the Stormhagen, which is the boss that we just fought, which is pretty good. Also, one thing that's interesting about this game versus the first one is the first one, because of plot reasons, you could never redo any of the levels until you actually beat the game, which is kind of interesting to think about because it kind of forces you to really, like, if you're a completionist, you have to do everything like first time you complete the levels. But in this game, you could pretty much redo them all infinitely, which is kind of nice, but it also means that like the main way of gathering cards in this level, in these levels, is treasure chest, and the end of level bonuses, you're expected to redo the levels a lot for cards that you want. Whereas in the first game, you could just capture everything by killing it with the card, which is kind of, in this game, they changed the mechanic a little bit to making you have to buy specific capture cards in order to do that, which cost... towards the end of the game, they start costing outrageous amounts of money, but towards the end of the game, you can also get outrageous amounts of money, so it kind of balances out. But yeah, also another thing I didn't really talk about is that in every level, you have the ability to abandon the mission. And this is also in the first game, but the second that you abandon, you don't lose any experience. You keep everything you collected in the level, so it's actually advantageous to jump in and kind of collect as much as possible and then pop in and out whenever you need, like you're running low on cards or health and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting that like there's the mechanic where it's like you could quit levels without losing anything in the Lost Kingdom games, but then in later FromSoftware titles like Dark Souls, where it takes more of a roguelike turn, it's pretty much like the exact opposite. It's like you lose everything and you just have to keep like progressing and collecting souls and using them before you lose them. But in this game, it's actually pretty lax about death and losing in maps and stuff like that, which is pretty nice. Also, it's always funny when you have a silent protagonist, but you talk to people and they still are responding as if you gave them a question. And then the one thing is when you're in towns, there is still stuff to collect, if I remember correctly. Yeah, like here's a chest. But you can't really use cards in towns for like, I don't know, you don't have to deal with like destructibles and stuff. Here's our first red fairy. Hopefully I didn't miss any in the first level, but I probably totally did because they're sometimes pretty well hidden. But the red fairies are collectibles in the Lost Kingdom games, and if you get 100 of them, at the very end you get like you get cards for like pretty much every 10 red fairies you collect from this certain dude that we'll meet probably here in a bit. But they're like the main collectible besides cards. And this man won't let me just bust into his house, which, good on you, RPG game, teaching us against trespassing for once, but also very sad I can't explore. Okay, I accidentally clicked that too fast, so I have no idea what that was. Sorry. She's commenting on my outfit. I'm like thinking about this in terms of like, I don't know, like the clothing for the protagonist kind of gives me like Final Fantasy vibes, whereas like I think about it and I'm like, it would be interesting to approach cosplaying as these characters, but sometimes like their outfits don't fully make sense. Tara's outfit here makes a lot more like practical sense, but versus like maybe Lulu's, which hats off to anyone who cosplays as Lulu, because that's a lot of belts. Have you ever heard of the Z effect? Oh, I didn't talk about this earlier, but in this game you can press Z and then like either Y, X, A, B to select a card, and basically it makes that card get this Z effect, which in essence makes it so you can use twice as many MP to use that card, but it also does, I think, twice as much damage. So it kind of adds an interesting like balancing act where you're like, oh, I can use more MP, but I can also kill the enemy more reliably. It's pretty helpful for like weaker cards that don't cost a lot of MP, because it gives them more of a fighting chance of survivability and damage. But for like higher level cards, if it already naturally costs like 18 mana points and they use the Z effect, you just essentially used up all of your mana on one card. And then sometimes if it's a card that's too high level for you to use, it's already costing double, and then you Z effect it, and then suddenly you're not only running out of all of your MP, but also all of your health. So just gotta ration resources and not accidentally like sacrifice yourself in combat. And Demon Hound was pretty good in the first game, kinda sorta, so hopefully it's good in this one. I think I was supposed to like find that card shop. But I'm already back at the entrance to town, so I'm usually pretty decent about exploring in games, just because naturally I try and avoid like the plot and do as much as possible, but girl, I'm also really bad at exploring. Also, another thing I find fun in these games is we just have normal horses, but most of the cards are like wacky fantasy characters, so it's like, what is going on in this world? Okay, we also gotta find where either Jarvie or Harvey lives, and he's the dude we can trade in red fairies for cards. I wish I could zoom in on the map. I think this is the man who wouldn't let me into his house. We're already circling back. Okay, on this map, where have I not gone? Okay. Okay, well, I don't think his house is off the map, so... Well... In these times of need, there is only one thing to do, which is for me to walk 2 feet across the room and grab my strategy guide. So, I don't really have a lot of qualms about like that, because it's like, I mean, if I get stuck and I'm not progressing, it's like, how thrilling is that to watch, really? So, let's see here. Let's get to Kadishu. So, well, I have apparently missed a ton of chests already. That's really exciting to learn. But I'll probably not collect them all, because this is probably not going to turn into a 100% stream for Lost Kingdoms 2, but I'll definitely do as much as possible. But because of the fact you can replay these levels, it kind of doesn't mean that I have to like force myself to think, okay, I have to get everything all in one go all the time. So that's kind of reassuring.
Hey, wait for me! I want to play too! Oh, why don't you just play with some of your monster friends, freak?
Oh, you can play with us if you give us that stone.
Yeah, hand over the stone and we'll all play together. No, I'll never give it to you. My mother gave me this stone. It's very important to me. I don't understand. Why is everyone so mean to me all the time? It's not my fault they don't have magic stones.
And the BAFTA award for Best Vocal Performance in a Video Game goes to Town Boy number 2. For that laugh, because that was amazing. And this is a card shop, I think. Let's see what they got. Now, of course, I have, like, no money, so that's great. Let's see what would be helpful here. I do like weapon cards a lot, but I think it would be more advantageous for me to get more Dark Ravens than it would be to, like, only get one ghoul. So, well, let's take this out. We have 103, so we could probably get... Let's at least get, like, 2 skeletons, I think. And 2 more Dark Ravens, because they're pretty useful. And then, also interestingly in this game is when you use cards in battle, they also gain experience alongside you, basically, for, like, defeating enemies and for being just used. But experience for cards can be used to either upgrade them into other cards as, like, an evolutionary line, which is kind of gets complicated in this game as a way of pursuing to getting which in-game cards you want. But you can also use experience to duplicate cards. So if there's a card you really like, you can use it a lot, get a lot of experience, and then duplicate it without having to, like, worry about having to find other means to obtain it, basically. Since we have a bunch of lizard bands, let's look at what we got here. In the first game, the last card that I ever got was the Basilisk, which was one of the starting cards somehow, so I think I might get a Basilisk. I also don't think I have a Weapon Water card yet, so... We'll watch the funky little cutscene. We got a nice little lizard man. Well, we already had 3 lizard mans, but we get a blue lizard man. So. Oh, and also to get money, you can either collect magic stones for money or you can sell cards. So an easy way, like, end game is, like, either doing the game bonus cards from the levels that are very, like worth a lot of money and selling them, or you can just keep duplicating, like, a lot of those, like, high-end cards and then selling them to get money. Well, we're being hunted by the local king police, basically, so that's not very reassuring for the Band of the Scorpion. Not Fairy just hit on us, so... oh, and this is a reference to the first game. Katya is the protagonist of the first game, who basically ends up having to save the entire world as protagonist characters do. Well, we got a nice collection. Still never found Harvey. So... rip to him, I guess. And apparently I didn't do enough to unlock the next level. But let's fix her deck first. How many cards do we have now? We have 25. I shall also save. Let's do 6. Let me read in the strategy guide how to get to the next level. I thought we just talked to that man and then he's telling us like, oh, you're being hunted, and then we just go and like stop that. But I guess we needed to do a little bit more. Oh, we just go back to the high road. Okay. But I'll probably do this mission and then I'll probably take a break.
Tara, there you are. Listen, Bashia is crawling with Kandari's soldiers. They claim to be hunting bandits. The others could be in trouble. We have to go back and help them.
Soul's sword, so absurd. Okay. Oh, Soul's fighting alongside me. I feel like then I should just let him do his thing. We'll watch him fight for a bit. Let Tara take a bit of a break. Oh, also we have like this like Spyro Dragonfly thing that's with us, and sometimes it'll like home in and point out enemies. I think we can lock the camera on them, but I'll just treat Soul like an independent card. Let him do his thing. I'll throw in one man trap. And a skeleton too. Meanwhile, we'll just be over here and we'll just have Tara drink some coffee or something. But the man trap did not really do much. Ow. I was facing the wrong way. That's tragic and embarrassing. Oh, and here's our first metal monster. So the metal monsters don't have any weaknesses, but they're apparently weak to the fact that they're very slow. And Soul just annihilated it by himself, so good job. I don't know if this is the way we're supposed to go, to be honest. You want to get it, Soul? I'll get the last hit, though. Okay. Another soldier over here. I don't know why I just decided to walk straight into him. Let's see what the Stormhagen does. Okay. I did not do that very well. My favorite thing about the independent cards is half the time it's just them hopping around instead of attacking. It's like, I like that they're evasive so they don't die instantaneously for the most part, but I do wish that they had a little bit more of an aggressive bone in their body sometimes.
Hey, General! What do you think of your great bandit cleanup operation now? Not so proud, are you? I'll have my revenge on these Kendari dogs. We're gonna hit them where it hurts. We'll find out where they make their rune stones, and then we're gonna take every last one of them.
Only 2 stars. My heart hurts for that score. Oh, we didn't get the Stormhagen again. Dang, our luck has run out so fast. But, cool. So we unlocked another level, but I think for now, since this is my first stream and I forgot to get water and stuff, I think I'll call it for a little break here. I'll probably come back to streaming in a couple hours, but if not, I'll start trying to brainstorm some sort of streaming schedule. But let's make sure to save. Cool. Now, I will do a little bit of like an outro thing just to make sure it all works. We'll mute that music. We'll get our Super Boppin' playlist going. And make sure it all works. We'll see if technology will continue to like me. It's not seeming like it does. Let's try a different song. Oh, there we go. Cool. Well, for anyone who tunes in during this, either in VOD form or as a backup on YouTube or anything, I hope that you enjoyed my first stream. I'll continue to improve my skills and get used to this as a human being, because it's kind of weird. But yeah, thanks for watching.